All right, moving right along, guys. This piece I showed you guys earlier, I'm just gonna weld up some of these cracks in it. I'm messing around with the fitment here, guys. I'm probably going to just see what I could do here, weld that up. Not really too much to weld there. I'll weld this inner and I'll weld that solid. And then I love this cap here. This was a piece left over from this side. It doesn't fit too bad there, or ironically, it doesn't fit too bad there either. So, I don't know. I think I like it better on the outside here, and then I'll probably just make up, I'll probably just make up my own piece for the other side. Then over here, I found these two little pillow block bearings. I'm gonna end up mounting one right there, and then I have to make a bump out to mount the second one. I'm using this 1-inch shaft, and then I'm just gonna turn down the ends in the lathe to fit these two little guys. All right, guys, so I'm just going around doing a little tack welding here and there. I gotta make up one filler piece here. Just didn't like the way it was coming together, so I moved it back a little, trim this for a better fit. Have a little bump up right here, but that's gonna mimic right into this curve. That'll fill in nice, and I'll just smooth it out right into there. My only problem area right now is here. What I'm gonna do is just take the grinder and put a slit right there, slit at the bottom, and then I'll see if I can hammer it in and then finish welding it. As you can see, I just put one slot right there. I kind of ground, this was this little nub here. It's kind of like bumped up a little bit. I just took the grinder sideways. I ground that in half, and then I put a slot there. And then, especially now, it's nice and warm, guys. Hopefully I can do this without the whole thing falling here. But you guys get the idea. I'm just gonna hammer that down, get it to meet this side, and then I'll finish welding it. All right. It's coming along pretty good, guys. Got the inside front there welded. I think I'm gonna do the same exact thing on this piece. Just, you know, a different kind of curve than what I'm looking for here. So just gonna put a slot there and a slot there, and just kind of bend it in a little bit. I'll give it a quick weld, and then I'm gonna start making up this piece. All right, this is the piece we're going with here, guys. Obviously, I got to curve it, cut it, and everything else. So, just going to use a piece of cardboard here. And I cut it to the same width and gave it a little curve. Basically, that's going to fit in like that. Get that welded in, and then I could just make some triangles for the top and bottom. All right, we got that piece in. It's looking pretty good. See if I can turn it there a little bit for you guys. All right, now I just got to make my two triangles, and then I got to work on this backside here, making that filler piece. The next piece of the puzzle is going to be to cap this off, guys. Not going crazy on the thickness because that's not going to be really supporting anything. It's just a cap. When I start boxing all this together, then I'll add a little extra beef. I just basically made up that. You know, it's just slightly bigger than what I need for now. I'll trim it down once I get it onto the metal. You know, basic stuff here, guys. Just cut it out with the grinder, clean it up, and then start welding it on. All right, I put that cap on hold for a minute because I'm thinking, you know, when I get these bearing mounts made, these are the bearings I'm using. I have new ones coming though. This is the steel I'm using here. So in order to get this sprocket as close as I can, you know, I need it to be like that. I might even mill this a little bit closer if I can. I got to see where the chain lies. This is the sprocket I went with on the other side. Unfortunately, I did have to buy this one. But I think that's going to give me a nice low gearing. The tire on the back is really tall, so this will help to gear me down a little bit. Obviously, I got to loosen the set screws and move this guy over. You know, I'll machine this to fit the bearing. And then, you know, I got to figure it out. So there's two ways to tighten the front little chain. Obviously, for the back chain, I have the adjustment back here. For the front chain, I either need to make the mounts, I either need to mount this somehow on a plate and let it slide, or somewhere over here I add like a bottom roller or something. I'm not sure. Oh, so to backtrack also, the reason I went with such a large sprocket here on a secondary note was so the chain is now going to clear the swing arm itself. This little guy was not tall enough. This is, I believe, a 21 tooth. This is like a 15 or 17 or something. I might have said this before, but I'm using an XR80 rear sprocket, which is a 420 chain. XR100 is a 428 chain, and that's what I decided to use for this whole project, is the 428. My back sprocket's very worn out anyway, so I'm just going to use it to test and get my gear ratios right. I'm going to try to leave all this done with what I have now, and then when I buy the final sprocket here, I'll try to size that accordingly. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm going to take this piece of steel, chuck it up in the lathe. I'll turn it down to fit the inside diameter of these bearings on both ends, and then I got to start making up brackets for that side. So I moved the sprocket over. Obviously, I'm not going to really get the alignment set until I put the tire on and everything like that. But that looks pretty good just from my memory. It was about, an inch out, something like that. So starting to look pretty good where I have that. Probably going to have to drill this set screw, to make probably 2 set screws. This one just had 1. The other thing is, this is like a very heavy duty industrial sprocket here. So I'm going to chuck this up in the lathe. I'll put the shaft in, screw it down to the shaft, and then I'll mill some of this down because that thing is just gigantic for no reason. And then, like I said, I'll just make up my mounts, and the easiest would be just to weld them. Weld it there, but then I have no chain adjustment. So I'm trying to go with O-ring chains, which wear much better. All right, guys, making some good progress here. Just gonna show you guys what I had to do. These bearings that I have on the back side, they have a little bump out, which I don't love, but I'm able to leave this one because this is gonna be the inboard bearing. On the outer bearing, I needed to get it as close as I could to align the sprockets. So I actually milled down the back. I could probably do a little bit more just to get that milled, but I just quickly did it. I just mounted it in the vise sideways and milled each side. Then this bearing has 2 set screws to kind of lock it to the shaft. My problem is that I need this sprocket to actually fit down. You can see where the keyway is, and you could also see all the material I took off this side now to be able to get this sprocket as close to the swing arm as I could, like that. So what I'm going to be able to do is, because this little bump out on the shoulder is sticking out there, where that set screw is, I can align that with the keyway here, and when I slide that over, it fits down, perfectly down, and I could get it as close as I can to the bearing. And I actually have about, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch play back and forth to align the sprockets. So that's going to be perfect. I got the shaft milled, and I cut the keyway slot, so that's pretty good. You guys get the idea. Now next up, I have to, I got this marked. I have to cut the shaft off, and then I have to turn this end down to fit this bearing. All right, I got this machine down, guys. Turned down, I should say. And this bearing's gonna go that way. On this one, I'll be able to use both set screws, which is pretty cool. So I didn't go crazy on the fit. I just made it a nice, kind of like a hard slip fit. There we go. Beautiful. And then we got the set screws to hold it down. All right, so the other keyway, guys, is a 1/4-inch key. It's much larger. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna machine it as close as I could get it to 180 degrees from the original. This way, you know, if I had to slide this one farther over or that one farther over, if you make it right in line with them, now you can't go across the whole piece if you want. The other added benefit, not really with the shaft this small, but it also helps with the vibrations. You know, because you took material out of this side, so now if I take some material out of that side, it'll even out it a little better. Like I said, this is off-road bike, very small engine, so we're not gonna have any vibrations. Unfortunately, the only 1/4-inch end mill I have right now is a 2-flute, which is really for aluminum. But this is the softest steel I've ever machined. It machines like butter. So I'm gonna give it a shot, and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, we're gonna consider the jack shaft done for now. Drew some lines here. I'm trying to get the jack shaft as forward as I can, but you know, I don't want to really run into these mounts here. And I don't want to move this up. I have this all designed already. So what I'm just gonna try to do, if I run it the way it is, you know, I'm gonna cap this off like I showed in another video. So I just have to give a little room for the sprocket to spin, but it's starting to get me a little close to the tire. I could turn this bearing that way, but then it kind of makes this piece have to be, you know, much larger in height and depth, I guess. Just a larger piece in general. Anyway, so my idea is just to cut away this piece right here, cut it all the way down. I have the secondary, you know, this is made up of a few different pieces in here. So I'm going to try to cut it like that, leave this inner structure, and then just box that. And then that will allow me to at least go that far forward. If I pull this out of here, you know, I could go up even more. But I think that should be good. If I get that all the way up, I have a good, let's say, 2.5 inches or so clearance from the tire. So I think that's good. 4 holes drilled here, guys, and then I'm gonna come in with the 4 flute end mill, and I'm just gonna nice and easy mill out 2 slots in between. Hopefully you guys could see what I was trying to do here. It's gonna go like that, like I showed you guys before. I have my adjustment now for, you know, the front chain, and then see if I could just turn that. All right, there we go. Roughly, I kind of marked it tentatively where I have to drill the holes. I'm going to be cutting these welds off and then taking this piece here. I'll probably put a little bit stronger welds on this back end, but I'm going to pull this arm off and I'm going to mount this in the Bridgeport so I can make the slots for the adjustment. My idea for this one is to take another piece of this stock that I had, and I'm going to mill it down. Hopefully you guys can see here. I'm gonna mill it down until it fits and slides inside this piece of rectangular tubing. Then, you know, I'll measure my holes. Got to be the right spacing, same as these. But on the inside, they're just gonna be drilled straight through. And then what I'll do is, I don't really have such great metric taps, guys. So these needed to be metric because of the carriers. If I went to an American size, I had to drill it larger, which I didn't want to do. Although actually that might be, I don't really ever have much 5/16 hardware, but I'm going to see if I can 5/16 hardware. I think that actually might work. But if I went to 3/8, I was going to weaken the pillow block too much, so I didn't want to do that. But anyway, so that's my idea. This is going to slide like this, in and out. You know, you'll lock it down at one point, and then like right there, you know, on the inside, and then when you loosen it, I'll be able to slide the whole jack shaft at 1 inch, and that's going to be my adjustment for the front chain, like I've said a million times. Make this the last part of the video here, guys. Got the slots milled. You guys don't see that, okay? I'll just fill that up with some quick weld, grind it flush. No one will notice anything. And then basically that's gonna slide in. I'm gonna weld nuts to the back. I did find 5/16 hardware, guys. Got some of these guys here. And I was going to tap these, but what I decided, I probably should have tapped them and welded the nuts. And then I would have had double the threads in the back, but I think this will be fine. I wanted to get some thickness to this plate so that if I ever do pull it apart, and, you know, this normally would be like that, pulled up against the side here. And you can see that's how we get the chain adjustment. With the nuts, you know, when you pull the bolts out, sorry, this is going to drop a little onto the nut or slide sideways. If this was, you know, vertical the way it should be, it'll be like this. With the nuts on the back, it just helps to take up a little bit of the gap. With that being said, I think we're going to call this a video. I've been trying to do a video per day that I work on this, and you know, you guys would be amazed how a 6-8 hour day goes by in the blink of an eye, and then you feel like you're not getting much done, but it is what it is.